Hello once again. Now basically what this video is a follow-up to my Godzilla vlog and review video. Also to address a couple of things that people are complaining about the new Godzilla film about. So here's an advanced warning. Spoilers. This video will have them. I will also put an annotation saying there will be spoilers. Anyway, first of all, there's a couple of things I would like to point out to some people. Now, let's start with people's expectations for Godzilla. Honestly, what were people looking for in a film like this? It's a standalone film. After seeing something like Pacific Rim, I can sort of understand what they were sort of expecting, like a full-on monster brawl sort of thing. But then again, if they did that, they would complain as well, because some people who went to see Pacific Rim said, you know, the monster fights were great, the Jaegers, the kaiju, everything like that was fantastic. But the human drama, they say, was absolutely, some people said it was absolutely abysmal. It was basically a bunch of fights connected by about 10 minutes worth of story. And I can sort of see what they mean. I'm not dissing Pacific Rim or anything, but, well, that's something to kind of discuss another time. But if you wanted a full-on monster fight, then go watch Pacific Rim, honestly. Okay, now here's a couple of things about the new Godzilla film. Now, people who are going to see just this one and are not familiar with the Godzilla franchise may be dissatisfied with the film and the way it's set up and how everything pans out. So basically, I'm doing this to try and kind of clear it up for people who've never seen Godzilla films before. Okay, I'm going to start with one thing that actually came to me while I was watching it on May 15th. The opening sequence. Now, did anyone else notice something in particular? The timeline of the film itself. The opening credits, titles or whatever, is set in the 1950s. Okay, the 1950s, when they first come into contact with Godzilla, and they use the nuclear bomb tests as a cover to try and kill him. But they fail, obviously, otherwise it wouldn't be a film. That's set in the 50s. And then later on, the attack on the power plant, what was it called again? Genera in Japan. That was set in 1999, and the rest of the film is set 15 years later in 2014. Now, for those of you that are not aware, what you're probably thinking, what does that really represent at all? Well, I'll break it down in the simplest way possible. The original Godzilla, the original Japanese Godzilla films were split into 3 separate series. From 1954 to 1975, starting from Godzilla in 1954 and ending with Terror of Mechagodzilla in 1975. That is called the Showa films, or first generation if you want to refer to it that way. Then from 1989 to 2005 is the Heisei series, and from 1999 all the way up to 2004 is what's known as the Millennium series. This film goes through all those different timelines, and if you want to look at it as a Godzilla fan like I do, then it kind of does make sense. The director, Gareth Edwards, was no doubt a fan of Godzilla, and it really does show in the new film. Now, let's get on to the manner of Easter eggs. The first one is possibly the most obvious. When Joe and Ford go back to their old home, which is now in the quarantine zone in Godzilla, They go through the house. Well, as they enter the area, it turns out they say it's radiation, but the Muto has drained all of the radioactivity from the area, making it as clean as any other place in the world, really. As they go into what remains of their old home, there's an insect tank, and on the side it says Mothra. That is one of the most obvious Easter eggs for Godzilla. Now, another one people are saying is during the sequence where you see Ford in school, during the power plant attack, or earthquake, whatever you want to call it. Well, technically it's not an earthquake, is it? There's supposed to be a figurine of a monster on one of the desks. Now, I think that some people said it was Mothra. I'm highly inclined to think that, because I was more focused on the character of Ford than his surroundings. If I got the chance to watch the film again, as in right now, before it goes to Blu-ray and DVD and whatever, I probably would find more. In a way, it's a bit like Man of Steel. You see multiple references throughout that film. For example, Jor-El's battle armor, if you look closely, it has something like the Batman symbol across the chest, or something, a part of the decor. There's the obvious references with LexCorp, the van, and the actual building itself. And one other Easter egg, which is now kicking the sequel into high gear, the fact when General Zod and the then dubbed Superman are fighting in outer space, and they destroy one of the satellites belonging to Wayne Enterprises, so that ties Batman into that universe. As I said in my unboxing video, Godzilla, The Art of Destruction, there are various references to other monsters. Like I showed you in the video an early design of a Muto, which looked very similar to Orga, the antagonistic monster from Godzilla 2000, or Godzilla 1999 if you want to call it that, because that film was released a year after the 98 film that just enraged the entire fan base and still does to this day. Now, there's a couple of things that people are really bashing the film for, and these are what I'm going to address right now. Okay, the first one is that Godzilla does not get a lot of screen time. Honestly, I don't see what the problem with this is. Maybe it's because I'm a Godzilla fan, but here, ladies and gentlemen, is the main figure point of my argument. The original 1954 Japanese version. This is the British Film Institute version. It's been completely upscaled, full voiceover and all that stuff. I'll review that at a later date. But here's a valid point for all of you who have never seen a Godzilla film before and you're saying he does not get a lot of screen time and you're angry about that. Godzilla has less screen time in this film than he does in the new one. Literally, he's only in for like 20 minutes or so. The new Godzilla has about, 26, 27 altogether? And that includes his appearances in the beginning as well. I don't know, I did not clock the amount of time Godzilla's on screen. But putting that aside, the new film is set up in the spirit of the 1954 film in very much a similar way, focusing a lot on the human characters and their story, and the monsters are like a secondary plot device. It's basically like Jaws, the novel, where it's more of a character study than it is about the shark, where the film, the shark is the main focus and the people are the second plot device. So yeah, the new Godzilla film is definitely made in the spirit of the 1954 original, and we see references to this throughout. Another thing people are complaining about is the fact that Godzilla seems a bit depowered from his original incarnation. Here's my argument towards that. 1. The Muto definitely awaken before Godzilla does. Both the male and female Muto have access to modern nuclear weapons, which are more concentrated and they have more power, whereas Godzilla doesn't get a chance to recharge himself. So that's the reason why he seems so depowered, because he hasn't had a chance to really build his energy back up. So that's part of the reason why he struggles against the two Muto when they fight together. Now, from what I did see in the film, it's a very closed ending, but it ends in classic Toho style, with Godzilla walking off into the sunset and then returning to the ocean. Now, I love the way it ended. As I said in my original video, Bryan Cranston does deliver a fantastic performance as Joe Brody, and you can really see it throughout whenever he's on screen. He knows there was something going on, and now he's torn between all that and the loss of his wife Sandra. It's hit him very emotionally hard, and as a result him and his son are kind of estranged from each other. And you can definitely see the tension, or whatever you want to call it, between Ford and him when they're in scenes together. But when it proves out that Joe was right, Ford is slightly more forgiving. Let's see what else. Aaron Taylor Johnson, I did kind of bash him a little in my last video, but I kind of wish that he was a bit more emotional at times. Like when he goes to the lieutenant colonel or whatever the soldier's rank is, saying, "Can I join the mission? You know, my wife and my son are in San Francisco where the Muto are heading." I would have believed it if he was a bit more panicky. You know, these are his only family left. You know, I just didn't believe him at that point. There are times where he hits the mark perfectly, like near the end when his entire team has been killed by the female Muto and he's the only remaining soldier left to get the nuke out of the city and onto the boat. You can definitely see the panic in his eyes then, because he's inches away from being killed. And that's another thing. Now, I do have some fantastic news. This was just announced yesterday. Godzilla is already green-lighted for a sequel. That's right, we're getting another Godzilla movie. This is incredible. It's had the biggest opening weekend of 2014 so far. Let's see, how much did it make over the course of 3 days? What was it, 9.3 million, or was it 93 million? And they haven't even released it in Chinese or Japanese territories yet. It's been open in the UK and America alone, and it's made that much money in 3 days. I find that incredible, and it also kind of shows just how much appeal Godzilla still has. Even though he's over, 60, 70 years old now, but he still has this universal appeal, which I find to be incredible. Being a Godzilla fan, you know, I will watch this until the day I die. I could watch Godzilla films until the day I die, to be honest. I just like the franchise that much. And granted, there are some films I will never get on DVD or anything, like Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster or Godzilla's Revenge. That's just a misleading title because he doesn't get revenge exactly. It's just like an LSD-induced mind trip. As the Angry Video Game Nerd, or James Rolfe if you want to refer to him by that name, pointed out perfectly, to be honest. So yeah, we are getting a sequel to Godzilla. I am made up. Another one to add to the list, because we're going to get Pacific Rim 2. We now have a sequel to Godzilla, and we're getting a Gamera film next year. This is the best time to be a kaiju fan. Ever since Pacific Rim, these films are really starting to come out. And at times they are a bit stale, if you want to call it that. But you can't deny that these are monsters, not just in terms of genre, but in terms of revenue. I mean, how much did Pacific Rim make by the time it ended its cinema run? A good couple of million, I think. I'm going to have to go on the Internet database, the Internet Movie Database, and see just how much it made. Well, those are just a couple of things that had to be addressed. Like with any film, you can't expect it to cater to everyone's tastes. I mean, some people go insane for Twilight, and there are people like me who have watched the film and just think, oh, Kristen Stewart, change your facial expression. You're just not pulling me into this at all. But that being said, I'm not bashing Twilight fans, so don't go and go, Twilight's the best on my video, please. I am not doing this to get hate, I'm just expressing my opinion. Like I said, a film can't cater to every single person. There's going to be at least one who's going to find fault with it in some way. I will admit, in terms of the new Godzilla film, I really enjoyed the monster action. A lot of people did. Bryan Cranston, great. Aaron Taylor Johnson was a maybe. I mean, he was in Kick-Ass, and I enjoyed him in Kick-Ass. So I'm a little disappointed as far as his character goes. Like I said earlier in the video, I would have been a bit more into his character if he was a bit more emotional. Like, my wife and son are in... You know what I'm saying? Moving on to some of the other characters. Ken Watanabe. He's pretty much like Serizawa in the original, except he's not trying to make some kind of new super weapon or anything. He's very much the nationalist. Well, not the nationalist, the... oh, damn it, what do they call themselves? I'll just refer to him as the Charles Darwin of the whole thing, because he constantly refers to Godzilla as an alpha predator, which, if you want to call him that, then fair enough. But he really does like Godzilla, and you can definitely see that. Now, about the runtime, the first Godzilla film, what was it, about 1 hour 46 minutes, while this new film, no, actually, the original Godzilla film was 1 hour and 36 minutes, whereas this new Godzilla clocks in at about 2 hours 5 minutes, roughly. That includes the credits. I think that's pretty much it, to be honest. The main reason I'm kind of doing this is because I see the posts on Facebook and, you know, from Legendary or some fan pages, Godzilla's now out, what do you think of it? And I read through the comments, and a lot of people are really positive, but a lot of people are, you know, oh, it's boring, it's stale, the human characters are boring, monster fights are great, Godzilla's not there 100% of the time. Yeah, I didn't mean to say it in that mocking tone. But in all honesty, what were you really expecting from the film? And I can understand if people are just not familiar with the franchise at all and they reviewed it like that. But like I've said earlier, if you watch the original Godzilla film and then go and see the new one, it does make more sense. By no means am I trying to kind of push this on people, but you know, anything to help you guys understand a bit better, because in a way I kind of grew up with Godzilla, even though I'm in the UK, and we had even less Godzilla stuff here than the US did. I mean, this is the first Godzilla film to ever hit the cinemas in the UK, which I'm glad to be alive to have been able to experience it. Anyway, I'm rambling on, so I'll end this video, and all I want to say is thank you very much for watching. Next time, hopefully, I'll be doing another unboxing with the Godzilla graphic novel and the movie novelization, which I'll review separately. And again, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.
Audio Jungle.